If you fail in ministry, blame no one, not even the devil. He did not call you. Do not blame your wife. She did not call you. As a man of God, your wife will misbehave occasionally. You will misbehave occasionally, and your children will misbehave occasionally. There are times when it seems everything is against you, but you must learn to hang on. Please note the following: they did not call you. They owe you no apology. It is you who chose to be a minister, so please try to win, cajole, beg, push, pray, and if possible, even force them to help you. However, you cannot blame them for your failure. You are not accountable to man, but to God. Seek your approval from God, not from people. Welcome to another powerful episode from the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies from Amazon. This chapter is filled with painful realities, hard-earned wisdom, lessons from ministry, sacrifice, disappointment, perseverance, and divine encounters that shaped a lifetime journey. As you listen, you may see parts of your own life in these experiences. 3 times Samuel was told by Eli, "I did not call you." It was then that Samuel settled down to hear from God. The year 2025 marks many years since I went into full-time ministry. From the very first day, I started to learn a hard lesson. Even if God had not called me into full-time ministry and I went into it on my own, the choice was mine and the consequences mine. Even if God had called me, the decision to accept was mine, the outcome was mine, and the outcome of my decisions is, to a great degree, mine. I learned to take responsibility for my life, my family, and the ministry. All my life, I have learned not to expect too much from people. One day, I had a preaching engagement and I met one of my in-laws who had grown up in my home when I was practicing medicine. I was so excited to see her, and I knew what to do to change her life. I had foolishly imagined that she would be excited to come to the church where I was preaching. She told me she was going to another church, a very big church. My spirit told me to take my eyes off people and place my focus on God, but that, when the chips were down, she would run to me. Some years later, she was in trouble and was arrested by the police. Her big pastor and church were not there for her, and she could not even reach them. It was my wife who eventually secured her release from detention, and my worker who signed her bail bond. When she sees me today, she runs towards me and kneels to greet me. Then, it was not so. She is no longer a member of that church. In the beginning, I hardly preached in the branches of the church that ordained me more than twice in 10 years. Even in my first pastor's church, which was led by a very good man, it took a while after it became obvious that I had made a name in ministry before I became a relatively frequent guest preacher. Many of those who showed interest in going with me to Ukeli to do ministry eventually chickened out when they saw the hardship I was going through. Spiritually, they said, "Sir, you are on your own." I had a young pastor from Lagos who said God told him to come and help me build a ministry. He came and worked with us. He lived in our home, and I was struggling to juggle family and ministry. When he saw the challenges, he escaped for his dear life without even informing me. He left the letter with someone on his way out of town. Another one came with the same story of God telling him to come and work with us. When he could no longer bear the challenges, he told me he was going for a 40-day fast. I asked myself if he wanted to break a mortuary to raise up all the dead people. I knew he was on the run. To this day, I have never set eyes on him. I had my elder brother's son living with us. I had expected that he would work with us. After some time, due to his misbehavior, he also shifted base. There was a funny incident that happened when we were building our school. We had reached the DPC level and the building needed sand filling with laterite. I called him to come and help with the filling. He asked for the price and said he was coming back. He never returned. Now our school is one of the best in our town in terms of standards. He later came and asked for his son to be transferred from the school he was attending to our school. I told him he would pay his fees like any other child. I have many children on scholarship in our school, but this one would pay his fees, whether he was my elder brother's grandchild or not. My wife reminded him of his actions when we were building the school on the day he came to register his child. I eventually took 4 of his children into my school on scholarships. 1 died due to their negligence. I expelled the eldest from the school and my home. 2 of them are still on scholarship in my school, and 1 resides in my house. I had 1 member then. Now I know how crafty he was. When I started a church, he worked near the church. He looked as if he was a very devoted friend, but I noticed some things about him. He would pretend to be very close to me and show interest in what we were doing, but he saw the church as my own while he ran it as though it were his own. He would brazenly drink alcohol close to the church. Anything he did in church or in his relationship with me had to benefit him alone. He never once visited the school site while we were building, but he was eager to move over when it became habitable. Throughout the time I was building our residence, he never came there once. Since I moved in, he has never come once. When I bought an SUV, which most probably he wished he had been instrumental in sourcing, he was displeased. For nearly 2 months, he deliberately avoided me. I bought 4 vehicles after I gave out the church we were running then. I did not buy from him because I knew we were not of the same mindset. I gave out the church and moved on. I will buy a vehicle from him if it meets my specifications, but not because of relationship, for he had not in any way contributed to what God had done in my life. He did not call me. When we started the school, it was in the building of somebody from my mother's place. The house we were living in was also owned by somebody from my mother's place. When one of their grandchildren of school age was old enough to go to school, he was sent to another school. However, when she or any of them were sick, I would give them free medical consultation and sometimes even bring drips from my home to fix free of charge. At one point, I had to buy fish for her to cook after her husband died. I had a funny experience one time. An organization that one of her children belonged to invited me to speak to 8 kings. I spoke with all my energy. I never got any honorarium from her, but my rent was increased the same month. When I complained, I was calmly and plainly told that if I was not interested, I should move out, back to the place where the school started. When the landlady suffered fire burns, I was the one who physically carried her to hospital. When she was healed, any time her children were compelled to follow simple instructions, she would threaten to withdraw her children. One day, we called off the bluff and asked her to withdraw her children, and we moved on to our own building. There was my uncle, who did not know where I lived and had never visited me from 1984 till 2017. When his son needed money, he sent him to me. I could not even recognize him. If you fail in ministry, blame no one, not even the devil. He did not call you. Do not blame your wife. She did not call you. My wife has been my physical strength. When everybody ran away, she was there. She has labored to make sure we succeeded in ministry. Eke Elianya Onuma and his wife Vera were there right from the beginning. He introduced me to the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International, and his home was open to my wife and me anytime we came to Aba. Dr. and Mrs. Zik Ikeora were there from the beginning. They supported and encouraged me financially at the start. Brother Chuma Okoroafor, now Reverend, and his wife Edna were consistent in funding us and sending materials that indeed helped us during the most difficult parts of ministry from the United States of America. My children sacrificed so much, but Ufwoma stands out as a pillar in the home. He took up the challenge of typing our books. He would stay awake even though he was young. He would work and sacrifice. There was a time his trousers became too short, and he would pull them up to his buttocks just to be able to wear them. Reverend John Eze and his wife, Vero, were there right from the beginning. They were the first people to invite me when I went into full-time ministry. For more than 10 years, they were consistent in their relationship with me. Reverend Dr. Chidi Okoroafor was the first to take me to Togo, and he has been consistently brotherly and supportive despite his obvious challenges. One man I must not fail to mention is Reverend Benson German. He behaves as if he owes me a duty to protect me. Wherever he has gone on transfer, he would take me there to preach. He would introduce me to his friends. God has been faithful in bringing people across my path. Reverend Major Mairiga was an assistant director of chaplaincy services in the army. Since we met many years ago, he consistently took me around army formations in the country to preach. He invested so much in my life, though I have not seen him for many years now. Late Reverend Barrister Azuka Obi became a source of blessing to me around 1997. Even though it was Reverend Dr. Chidi Okoroafor who introduced me into the Assemblies of God Church, Reverend Azuka Obi introduced me to the National Council of the Church and took me to many zones of the church to preach. He was a father who took great effort to promote young men like me. He would even reduce his preaching time so that I could preach longer. He was a man of very high spiritual consecration, but was ready to tolerate our mistakes, pray for us, and even advertise us without highlighting our errors. As a man of God, your wife will misbehave occasionally, you will misbehave occasionally, and your children will misbehave occasionally. There are times when it seems everything is against you, but you must learn to hang on. Please note the following: they did not call you. They owe you no apology. It is you who chose to be a minister, so please try to win, cajole, beg, push, pray, and if possible, even force them to help you. However, you cannot blame them for your failure. You are not accountable to man, but to God. Seek your approval from God, not from people. If you strive to please man, one day you will find yourself seeking his applause, only to discover that his hands are on other things and you are not his priority. Depend on God for everything in ministry, but he will use good men to bring them to pass. Avoid bitterness with people. When things are better, people become better towards you. When the chips are down, you are on your own. That is the hard truth ministry teaches many people. Before you go, remember this: people may disappoint you, circumstances may humble you, but responsibility, endurance, and faith in God will keep you moving forward. Thank you for listening to this episode from Lessons of My Early Life. If this message inspired you, encouraged you, or strengthened your faith, kindly purchase the complete book using the links in the description below. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow for more life-transforming episodes. God bless you.